I became an avid reader since 2021, so much so that I made an entire YouTube channel dedicated to it. And ever since then, I've just kept on hearing people talk about this one specific book series, even from people outside of the book community. And because of this series has been on the top of my reading list basically since forever. But I never really got the chance to cross it off. But that all changed when I got gifted these books, and now I'm on the journey to read every single one of them. And I know you're just dying to figure out what books I'm talking about. Okay, I know that you know what I'm talking about because of the thumbnail, but just play along, okay? I'm talking about the iconic The Hunger Games series. So in the previous video, I finished reading the first book, The Hunger Games, and now I'm going over to the second book, Catching Fire. Hi, my name is Gunther, and you're watching me document the Hunger Games series. Now, before we start with anything, we need to appreciate the art that this book cover is. Okay, so I realize now that everything that I've mentioned in this section of the video, I've already mentioned in the previous video. So if you've seen the previous video, you're gonna get some deja vu. But you can power through, I believe in you. And if you haven't seen the previous video, what are you doing? Please go watch that video, please. Okay, back to the video. The colors are very aptly the same colors of fire, you know, with the dominating red and the undertones of yellow and orange. And the letters are golden and the outlines of the leaves are also golden, which makes this book feel very premium. And we also have to look at the sprayed edges. Like, it's so pretty. And I also have to mention that this book feels very comfortable to hold. It's not too big, it's not too heavy. The pages open up so easily because there's no resistance from the spine. This book makes use of lay flat binding, which commonly is referred to as being a floppy book. So it's just so easy to hold, it's so easy to read, it looks nice to look at, and with that being said, let's actually get into reading.
But out of all the scratches, there's a cut that bleeds the worst. Every time I count my blessings, I count you first. Every time I count my...
What are you doing in my book, you silly goose? Okay, but now that I have your attention, let's actually get down to business. Okay, so I need to talk about something that I only mentioned in the previous video, but I didn't actually elaborate on, and that is the world of the Hunger Games. While I was reading this book, it reminded me how much I loved this world from this book over any other world in any other sci-fi book. So just as background, the Hunger Games series is set in a dystopian America, which basically means that the society is being oppressed. It's the opposite of a utopia, right? And it's also set somewhere in the future. So because of this, there is a lot of futuristic and new technologies, like force fields or guns that can shoot rays or lasers. And there are a lot of other books that use the same tropes and same futuristic ideas. But the reason I love this world over any other futuristic world is because of the way that the author presents these futuristic technologies or ideas. See, in this book we don't get cringy terms or like overly used futuristic tropes like we get in a lot of other books. Like in other books, I'd imagine the things that are being described like I'm watching a movie, but the movie uses very bad CGI. But I don't get that in this book, and that's because the writer is very creative and thoughtful about the things that she writes, the futuristic and sci-fi ideas that she writes into this book. Okay, so let me give an example. The famous mockingjay. This bird was spoken about so much in the first book. It's on the cover of all the books. I mean, the third book in the series is called The Mockingjay, so it's quite an important concept in the series. And in this book, it's described that this mockingjay comes about as a byproduct of genetic modification. So in page 91 and 92, it is described that the government took the real mockingbird and they altered its behavior genetically in such a way that these birds will be able to memorize and perfectly repeat entire paragraphs, which makes them the perfect spies. Oh, flip. And they called this new species the Jabberjay. Now, this new species, the Jabberjays, they were actually able to mate with the mockingbirds in the wild, and it brought about an entirely new species naturally. And this new species is called the mockingjays. And I find it so cool that the author actually put some thought and effort into writing this sci-fi world. Now that I think of it, this makes the mockingjay symbol mean so much more. Okay, wait. Okay, so in this book, the people are starting an uprising against the government, or the capital as it's called. And the symbol used to secretly tell other people that they're part of the rebellion group is the mockingjay bird. And its use is inspired by the pin of a mockingjay that Katniss wore in the first games. Now, the entire idea of an uprising started off when Katniss kind of broke the rules in the first Hunger Games by forcing the government to allow 2 victors instead of the usual one. And this blatantly opposed the government, but because it was allowed, it inspired the rest of the nation. So it makes sense that the pin of the mockingjay that Katniss wore in the games became the symbol for the rebellion. But when we look at the symbol from a genetic or science fiction point of view, it gives the symbol a much deeper meaning. See, the mockingjays were never intended to exist. The government made the jabberjays and then they set them free into the wild, expecting them to die out, but they didn't anticipate that the jabberjays and the mockingbirds would come together to give birth to a new species, the mockingjays. It was something unexpected and unintended. It's actually stated like that in page 92. So with this in mind, it was unintended and unexpected by the government that Katniss, forcing the rule change in the games, the very games that was meant to act as oppression, would be the initiator of the rebellion. The government didn't expect their own genetic interference to bring about an entire new species, just like how the government didn't expect that their own oppression methods would be the initiator of a rebellion. So the mockingjay bird symbol is more than just a symbol. It is a sign to the government that they brought the rebellion upon themselves. So if that isn't a good science fiction book, then I don't know what is. But let me actually get back to reading. So it's day 4 of reading and I'm really close to finishing. I only have like 100 pages left. But again, I have to talk about some stuff that I mentioned in the previous video. And that is 2 things. The writer's writing style and Katniss and Peeta's relationship. Okay, so in the previous video, I talked about how I really like the writer's writing style in that she doesn't really spoon feed you information and she doesn't go into super deep detail about every situation and every scene. And I really like this in the first book. But in the second book, she does the same thing, but I just don't feel like it works. Like, especially for the first half of the book. Like, there is so much build up to this. Okay, so in the first half of the book, Katniss and Peeta have to go on this tour throughout the country, right? And there's a lot of build up to this tour, and we see the emotional turmoil that the characters have to go through because of this. And then the tour starts, and then literally in the next paragraph, it just ends. Like, we had all this build up to it, and now we only see the beginning of it. We skip the entire rest of the tour and just see the end of it. So I just like, it feels like we're rushing through a lot of events just to get to the plot, to the place where everyone will really care about what's going on. Yeah, so that's the one point that I wanted to bring up. And the other point that I wanted to bring up from the previous video is my concern over Katniss and Peeta's relationship not being genuine. So in the previous book, they had this entire act going on, this lovers act, that aided in their survival, okay? There were a few occasions where they did show true romantic feelings for each other. And my mind said, okay, this means that they're in love now, because that's what basically happens in every other romance story. But in the previous book, it ended with Peeta saying, let's just do this. He's basically implying that they only have to do this lovers act one last time. And my mind said, he doesn't mean that. No, he doesn't know what he's talking about. They love each other. No, it was an act the entire time. This book makes it very clear that they have no romantic feelings for each other whatsoever. And it really upset me because I really liked their relationship that they had going on. But in this book, they can barely stay in each other's presence. But the thing that I realized throughout reading the second book is that maybe they don't love each other romantically, but they definitely do love each other. And you can see it in like basically in every interaction that they have, that they show that they care about each other. Like for example, Katniss suffers from nightmares because of the traumatic events that she had to go through, right? And because of this, she confessed to Peeta about this, and Peeta decided that he's going to sleep in the same bed with her to ease the pain that the nightmares cause. And Katniss also decides that she wants to run away, like go run away into the wilderness and escape from this country. And as she's planning this, she decides that she's going to take Peeta with her, even though she doesn't really love him romantically and struggle a lot to be in each other's presence. She still chooses to take him with her. Oh, and then in this second book, there's another games, right, that they have to participate in. And they both decide that in this games, they're going to fight for the other person's life. Katniss said she'll sacrifice her and fight to keep Peeta alive. And Peeta did the same thing. He also said that he would rather sacrifice himself to keep Katniss alive so that the other person could win this game and survive and live the rest of their lives. So they really do love each other, but just not in the romantic way that I wanted them to be in love, you know? But that's all that I've read so far. I'm really close to finishing the book. I only have to read it like 100 pages. So I'll see you in the next clip when I'm probably done reading. Okay.
I'm afraid I'm running low on love. I'm afraid that in the end you're more than I deserve. Every time I count my blessings, I count.
Okay, I'm finished. And come and tell you what I thought about the book. So the beginning was a bit slow until the announcement was made that all the victors from the previous games were going to have to be in the next game once again. And then ever since this moment, I was like hooked to this book. Like it became just so good. I could not stop reading. And I do also want to say that I do like the way that she writes. I know in the previous clip I said that it wasn't working for me, but there are so many sentences or word choices that just floored me. Like chapter 14 actually has so many good examples of this. I think I'll be putting some examples on the screen. And I also love the way that the writer thickens the plot. Like it's so much fun to read. An example of this would be when Peeta tells the crowd in the interviews, Peeta tells the crowd that he and Katniss secretly got married. But not just that, that she's also pregnant, when none of that is true. He just says all of these things to, you know, rile up the crowd and get the country to feel like they have to stand against the games, right? And like there are so many times where I just had to sit there, slam the book shut and just contemplate what I just read. It was so much fun. Oh, also, the Mockingjay symbol got yet another meaning to it, and that is that Katniss herself is the Mockingjay. The book makes it clear, like at the very end, like the few last pages, that Katniss is the Mockingjay. She is the face of the rebellion. She's the one that the Capitol unintentionally made into the symbol for the rebellion. And I really thought that this would be a revelation that was going to be made in the next book, you know, since the next book is called The Mockingjay. So it's interesting that they made this revelation at the end of this book. Okay everyone, that's all from me for this video. Please like and subscribe, and if you made it all the way to the end, please comment an emoji of a fire, like the fire emoji, so that I can know who the real ones are. And yeah, okay, thank you! Hey. No.
Oh no. Oh no.
Hi, my name is Gunther, and you're watching me. Dis want ek skryf net. Wat am I trying to say? Waarom sukkel ek so? Okay, I think that's good, eh?